Hey everyone, I was going to give you a heads up, but didn't have time to do it. So I'm just kind of doing this in the moment. Sitting in a parking lot just outside of Starbucks. Here's my Starbucks. Oh, label. Well, oh yeah, there it is. Starbucks. Anyhow, I was trying to do something a little earlier to kind of reach some of you in other time zones because you've expressed your desire to watch things, but I've been doing it while you've been asleep. So, anyhow, fortunately, you get to view the video later. So, I've been talking about process, in particular, unlimited process, because sometimes process seems very limiting. And so just some I feel like, just debunking some things. This is a debunking season, and there's a lot of people doing that at different levels and different ways. And so I'm trying to attempt to do this about process, things that we think we can do, can't do, the little tricks that the enemy tries to play on your mind, and so forth and so on. I was thinking this morning about you know, walking the talk, and or talking the walk. And of course, many of you probably have heard for a long time that you have to first walk something out before you can really talk about it. So I want to debunk that whole mentality, and because it's really a two-way street. It's not one side or the other. And of course, I'm not implying that you don't eventually walk out what you talk. But there's some things that you enter into before you fully understand what it's all about. Uh, a baby will often talk before it walks. Uh, you might not understand, but it's good, da da ba 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 da ba ba ba. They're doing all that stuff, right? And believe me, they're carrying on a conversation, and you might not fully understand what's being said, but they're in tune, and they're letting you know about it. So even though you might not understand it, they are communicating it, and they're doing it before they're actually, walking it out. And so sometimes, I find myself speaking about things, and I can look at their faces, and you would think I'm like doing the little baby, because they're like, I don't know what this guy's saying. And then later on, all of a sudden, the light comes on. And of course, I experienced that in my own life. And so we're all at different levels of understanding and walking things out. So it is again, it is a two-way street. But my point is this: you don't have to fully understand things before you actually do them. And you might not understand something that you do. I've been on both sides of the fence. I will do something, or something will be demonstrated in the spirit, and I'll be, oh my gosh, what was that? I remember, there are many things on my mind, most recent, but this one sticks out in my mind. My friend Josh Crofton, we were in Ireland a few years back, and it was just a really intense day. And I began to prophetically speak. I entered into this other realm, walking on the waves, of the ocean waters that was surrounding the northern shores there, or whatever shores those are of Ireland, over by Dublin and so forth, in Bray. And I just saw this activity happening, and I'm speaking about it, and all these things that are about ready to happen, and so forth. And I never really had an encounter like this, and never really spoke on this level before. And so it was just intense, like you knew something was going on. So we were both walking out after the meeting, and Josh was like, oh my gosh, what was that? And I go, was that crazy or what? And we really didn't understand all what was really taking place. And anyhow, spoke about these unusual waves higher than you've ever seen before, that are going to, hit the shores of this land. And there were some other things about gold and all these other different aspects that they would find in the land, and that they would go from being a importer to an exporter, both ways, but they would begin to export things that they would discover, all this stuff. So I fully didn't understand what was going on. I was just following the unction, the spontaneity of the Spirit, which is what I do. And it wasn't even a few weeks later, might have been more, after we left or whatever, all of this stuff happens. Major storm comes, waves, record waves, right? Higher than they'd ever experienced. Then they discovered gold, and then they gas, like they were normally, for the most part, importing, gas. And so they hit a big deposit and started exporting. On goes the story. I don't remember all of the pieces about it, but my point is, I just stepped into something. I didn't fully understand what was taking place, and I didn't know the full reality of it until afterwards. So I wasn't allowing myself to be limited by what I didn't know, and I wasn't going to allow myself to be limited by what I never experienced. And so I believe that is the challenge that we are in, that you are in this time. It's called faith. You just got to step out. You take the chance. You take the risk. And you just step out and follow the unction of the Spirit that is in you. And so don't limit yourself to what you haven't done. Because if you do, then it will be a constant restraint upon your life. And at the end of the day, fear will be trying to manipulate you. So I'm thinking of Jesus when he sends the 70 out. Never can remember if it's 70 or 72. But he sends the 70 out, and they go out, and he sends them in front of him in advance. They've never done this before. He's like, go and, do this thing. He just gives them this, brief little lecture, or whatever you want to call it, and they go out and they start casting out demons and doing this thing. Can you imagine their reaction? I mean, not only have they never done it before, but they don't fully understand it. All they know is they come back and go, oh my goodness, even the demons are subject to your name. And guess what? Jesus rejoiced. He was thrilled. He was excited that they did it, even though they'd never done it before, and even though they didn't fully understand it. They just stepped out and did what he said to do. And he said, by the way, tell them that the kingdom of God has come close to them. So it's a two-way street. Some things you do that you understand, other things you don't understand, you do. But at the end of the day, we're destined for spiritual maturation. But this is part of what I call a unlimited process. And this is where I believe that God is calling us. So nonetheless, whether you understand it, you don't understand it, you do it before you do, you do it before you do, at the end of the day, Jesus will rejoice. He'll rejoice over your efforts. He'll rejoice over your desire, over your willingness, to go for it. So that's the process, the unlimited process, to where you're not confined to just a certain method or way of doing something. Again, I'm not negating that there are certain processes that we go through to get to wherever, but I just want to redefine it a little bit, because really what I just described to you is a process to spiritual maturation. Okay, go give it your best shot. See ya.